Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Mars conjunct the natal ascendant. Well, the first thing as far as this transit goes, well, this could strongly increase the energy level and vitality of the person. People that have this transit might feel a lot more energetic than usual, be more action oriented than usual, even if it's hitting a sign like Pisces. Pisces can be rather, of all the signs, might be the most relaxed, so to speak, or lethargic, but they even Pisces will, if let's say somebody has the Pisces ascendant and they're getting this transit Mars and Pisces is conjuncting the Pisces ascendant, this person will apt to feel more energetic, more vigorous than usual. And also this could strongly increase the libido and as far as the sexual urge during this transit. During this transit, one might feel, or I should say, act a lot more courageous and have a lot more fortitude, perhaps, than they ordinarily do. Thing about it is, of course, the sign does impact the delineation of the transit because, let's say as far as the energy level goes, let's say you have a Leo ascendant, and Leo's energy can be often nearly inexorable, and you have Mars and Leo transit Mars and Leo making a conjunction to it. Well, the difference may not be that as noticeable to others, given that Leo is a sign that could be very energetic, like Aries as well. But let's say that somebody has Cancer or Pisces ascendant, two signs that are not exactly known for having an abundance of energy. Well, I think it'll be more apparent and more obvious to others when somebody receives this transit conjunction of Mars to that as one of those ascendants during that time than a lot of other ones, because those signs are not exactly known for being energetic. But when you have this Mars hitting it, then it can really become very noticeable to others. And people that receive this transit could be a lot more outspoken and bold in terms of what they say. This could be a time where really you have this transit, you might be a little bit more quick-tempered than usual. There's a little greater propensity as far as confrontation, mainly verbal, I would think, but it still could increase a possibility of physical confrontation. And the thing about this too is, someone may wonder, well, does this mean, Mars rules guns and gunfire, and if it's hitting my ascendant, does that increase the chance or propensity for being shot or something? Well, of course, very marginally it could, but people get this transit over and over again in their lives, and generally, most will come out relatively unscathed. You might get, there is a greater chance, I think, for something like a small cut or something during this time, or you have to be exceptionally careful with sharp objects because Mars rules over those. But the thing about it is, you get like this transit may come like once every other year, like once every 2 years roughly. So many people may get this like 40 times, around near 40 times, or the average time might be about between 35 and 40 times in their lifetime. So, I mean, and most people are going to survive it, but at the same time, given that Mars does rule guns, it rules gunfire. If you're in a very bad neighborhood and it's very rough and you have a lot of shootings, Chicago, Illinois, of course, that obviously, I believe, there's obviously a lot of shootings there, so you've got to factor in the environment into the equation as far as that goes. An environment like that, then you have to put that into the equation, so to speak, and I would be, obviously be a little bit more careful and prudent during this transit than others. But the thing, too, is that during this transit, one may feel a little bit more combative, and of course, it's always good to try to use this constructively, not destructively. It could be maybe taking it out in the weight room, working out, or maybe engaging in a combative sport such as karate or boxing or wrestling. Now, keep in mind too that when you're getting this transit of Mars conjunct the ascendant, okay, when you have the applying aspect, I use 3 degrees applying, 2 degrees separating, so it's on its way out of the 12th house when it first makes the aspect to the ascendant, even though it's in the 12th house, but it's making its way out. So it could be something that was hidden. Maybe Mars rule in some cases might become uncovered, such as a sharp object like a knife or some kind of razor, or scissors. It might have been something that was missing for some time, that it comes uncovered when it closes in on the ascendant, because the 12th house is about restrictions, limitations, and can be things that sometimes can be hidden. And I think when you have this transit, when it hits the first house, there's a better chance of finding it. Could even be a missing firearm that becomes unveiled, that's uncovered during this time. At this time too, given that people can often be more combative and more quarrelsome during this transit than usual, peaceful negotiations can often be very difficult for others. And keep in mind too that Mars also governs surgery. So even though most people may not have surgery when they have this transit, it does increase that potential for it, I think, a little bit anyway, very marginally. And a lot, of course, may depend on the sign that Mars is in. Let's say Mars is in Cancer and it's hitting someone's Cancer ascendant. Well, there might be a surgery perhaps on the chest or the breasts of somebody. Let's say if it's hitting Leo, well, then you might be looking at some kind of heart surgery, perhaps. So those are basically, I mean, some things to look at as far as this transit goes. And keep in mind too, I mean, the first house is also about the appearance, so it might be a lot more energy put in to the appearance during this time. It could be through working out vigorously. It could just be by simply changing maybe the clothes you're wearing, or doing something. I mean, it could be something with the hair. And also too, I think there's also a greater little propensity to maybe get a little bit more reddish or a ruddiness in the face as well, perhaps a redder complexion during this time, and especially if it's a time when you're engaging in vigorous outdoor activity and you're outside a lot, and I could see where this could possibly, it has a little greater chance of happening, say during the Mars transit the ascendant aspect. Mars transit Mars making a conjunction to the ascendant, as opposed to a lot of other transits. So, and anyway, to keep in mind that you also, I mean, as far as the real energy, being very more energetic during this transit, also look for contraindicators. I mean, let's say, for example, you have transit Neptune making an adverse aspect to your natal Mars or Sun. It might impact this transit a little bit, because those transits can make one a little bit more lethargic or lackadaisical than usual. So if you have, like I was saying, if you have transit Neptune making an adverse aspect to your natal Sun or natal Mars as an example. So, and also you might be a little bit more irritated more quicker by by light provocation during this time than usual. So that's another thing to look at as far as this transit goes. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for transit Mars conjunct the natal ascendant. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about transit Mars making a sextile or trine to the natal ascendant. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.